Hello everyone, welcome to the stream. How are you doing, people? It's a pleasure to be back. I'm quite loud, aren't I? Turn that down a little bit. Oh, you going to turn it down? There we go, perfect. That's better. Hello everyone. Racing nerds indeed, Nakagi. That is a very good way of putting it. Welcome everyone to the stream. Hello everybody. Hello Trader, New, Melina, Patrick, Jeremy, Jeremy, Colin, Michael, Aruran, Ishan, Federica, Lucy, Mr. Windsor. Oh, actually, something I haven't done is given this stream a little share on the old Twitter. There we go. And we're live. Boom. Put some old sirens to make it a little bit more urgent, you know. How are we doing, everyone? A week break. Too long. Complain about having too many races, but then when there's not a race, it's like, when's the next race? I beg. All right, cool. That's shared, lovely. Hello, Ultimate. Ow! Oh, my knee. Oh, just clattered my knee on the bloody sim. Hello, Winchy. No Craig David this time. No, I had to. If you've watched back the last live stream when it started playing Craig David and Shy FX, obviously as soon as the stream finished, there was a claim for that part of the live stream, so I just had to trim that out. It is all like automated on YouTube though, so it's actually quite easy to do if you need to cut stuff out. I'll turn that down a little bit more. But yeah, hello everyone. Happy Diwali indeed to everyone who's celebrating Diwali today as well. And yeah, Mexico, back, round 18 for the first time since 2019. Take off that hat. No, Stephen, I will not. My hair is a state. I'm getting it cut today, actually. So, you can tell when I'm not feeling very good about my hair because I wear hats a lot, and it's too long for it to look good with wax. I need the fade. You know what I mean? I need the fade. But yeah, back in Mexico this weekend. Very excited. I'll tell you what. The Tifosi are fantastic, but Mexican fans are right up there as well. The hype around Sergio this weekend has been phenomenal. It's nice. What kind of is a question, because obviously if we didn't have a Mexican driver, you know, the Mexican Grand Prix would still be great, but there wouldn't be that same level of fanfare if the Mexicans didn't have a driver to get behind. Which other countries do you think, if we had a Grand Prix there and we had a driver from that country, would be like next level? Because, you know, like, you know, you go to like the French Grand Prix and it's not like there's Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon ultras out there. It doesn't really happen, does it? But then in Mexico and in the Netherlands, of course, for Max, India would be good if Daruvala got into F1 and we raced in India. That would be a vibe. Brazil would actually be too sick. Who's the best kind of? Drogovic's Brazilian, isn't he? That'd be pretty vibey. Argentina, be cool. Argentina, don't you? Again, you got to kind of look at the drivers coming through. Japan would be cool. Japan definitely. Get a bit of Yuki Tsunoda at Suzuka. Such a shame that he missed out this year, but hopefully next year. Suzuka, Slovenia. Decent. I think the smaller the nation, I don't know though, because Mexico's not a small nation, but again, there's certain nations I feel that there's more patriotism in certain parts of the world than, I don't know. Say for example, like Dennis Hauger got into F1, he's Norwegian, and we had a Norwegian Grand Prix. Maybe I'm wrong. I apologise to any Norwegians out there, but I don't know. I can't imagine there being the same hysteria that you get at the Netherlands or Mexico. But hopefully, now that Logan Sargent is Williams Academy, could be a route in, perhaps. Hopefully that means he's racing F2 next year, because he deserves it. definitely. Korea for Jack Aitken. That would be a vibe. Back in Korea for sure. But anyway, Mexico. Hang on, what's the actual track name? I want to get it right because it is quite long. That's why I just put Mexico on here. I just put Mexico. The Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. There we go. Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. Thank you, MA, for the $2.99 Aussie, mate. 6th gear all lap, Tommo. What were you thinking? I was stuck in 6th, okay? I couldn't get it out of 6th. If you don't know, go to the Live Fast YouTube channel and the context will be opened up to you. But yeah, I couldn't get it out of 6th. So, Sag. See, Anne knows. You're Norwegian, it'd never be the same. But yeah, back in Mexico for the first time since 2019. I think as well, having the year away is going to add to the hysteria even more. And even more because Checo is now in a Red Bull. He's in a top team. He's in a race-winning car. You know, the prospect, even though technically he actually scored more points last season than he has this season. Because we've had the same amount of races this year as we did the whole of last year. There were 17 races last year. But yeah, I feel like that's just going to add to the vibes, add to the Checo vibes even more. Thank you, Sawyer, as well, for joining Friends of Tommo. And yes, I do apologise for my Spanish pronunciation. It's just, I'm just an English, pathetic, pasty English man. Okay, that's what you sign up for when you subscribe to this channel. Okay, it just is what it is. But yeah, 2019 was pretty decent, wasn't it? I thought it was pretty decent at Mexico. And Lewis Hamilton came out on top, of course. He won the race. Him and Max had a little tangle, didn't they, at the start? They had a little tangle into that first corner because there's a long run down to turn 1 at Mexico. But yeah, they had a little bit of a tangle, got caught up at the back. Max then ended up getting a puncture where he came together with Valtteri. And Lewis made his way through the field, past the Ferraris, who at this time, the Ferraris were up there. Charles and Seb, both up there. And but Lewis managed to make I think Leclerc had like a long pit stop, I seem to remember. And yeah, Lewis took the dub. Which, do we think that's going to happen this year? Would Max have been up there and fighting for a win if he hadn't have got the turn 1 incident and then the puncture? Impossible to say for sure, but maybe. But yeah, Mexico is a track. What are we saying out of 10? How do you rate Mexico? Because I feel like for me, it's probably, it's definitely the top half of tracks. I feel like if I had to rank them all, yeah, I reckon like a 7. It's probably just in the top half. It's probably like 9th, maybe 10th out of all the tracks for me. It's half decent, and again the crowd adds to it a lot. You've got that long arse straight, but then it is all pretty twisty, which is why the consensus seems to be that this is going to be, as much as Lewis won there last time, that this is going to be a Red Bull circuit. This is going to be a Max Verstappen victory. And yeah, the last sector isn't great. I kind of agree. As much, it's cool. Like, it's cool that they go through the stadium, but and yeah, Dax, you won't be the only one. I think there'll be a lot of people who've never seen Mexico before. Obviously, a lot of new fans who've joined the sport. And that's the, I don't know if you can hear that. That's the washing machine going off. So I need to get that out after we're done streaming. But yeah, overall, I think it's a very good track. Yeah, the last sector is a bit but then the atmosphere is great through that final bit. So trying to think what else happened last time out. I think Bottas crashed in qualifying, didn't he? He hit the wall pretty hard, and then because then Max got the penalty. He should have been on pole. He went through yellow flags, didn't he? You had Kvyat tagged Hulkenberg in the race, didn't he? You had Ricardo lunging against Perez and locked up and went straight. Yeah, it was about like it was a good rate. It was Lewis from Seb from Valtteri, in the end, in 2019. But that was last time out. Again, didn't have a race last year. This year though, for me, my predictions are as follows. I've gone for Max race win. I've gone Ferrari team of the weekend. I've gone Carlos Sainz driver of the weekend, and I've gone Daniel Ricciardo struggle of the weekend. So Max to win. I think as long as there aren't any madnesses, you know what I mean, any crashes, any technical DNFs, any of that, I think Max will win. I think he got the pace. Driver of the weekend, I was going between Charles and Carlos. You could go either way. Obviously, Charles has been the more consistent over the course of this year, but Carlos has got a performance in him, and you know what? I'm feeling good about Carlos this weekend. So I'm going to go Carlos Sainz. Team of the weekend again. I think this is going to be a good track for Ferrari. They've brought in this engine upgrade to the hybrid unit, which seems to have given them a bit more horsepower, which of course will carry on to next year. So that's a good upgrade for them to bring. And I think that's put them probably clear of McLaren now. We're at 3.5 points behind. Ferrari are looking very, very good at the minute. And then struggle, I've put Daniel. Now, the thing is, this year, Daniel will have a very good result and then a very bad result afterwards. And it was a good result last weekend at Austin. He was on top of Lando the whole weekend, pretty much, like pace-wise, in quali, in race. It wasn't a great weekend. It's one of them. Was it a bad weekend for Lando? Or was it a good weekend for Daniel? It's hard to kind of say. Thank you, Freddie, as well, for extending friends with Tommo. Appreciate it. But yeah, it's one of them, and it's quite a tight, twisty track. I'm not convinced that Daniel's gonna have a great time. Unfortunately, you know I love Daniel, but. And especially with the Ferraris doing well as well, I think that will, you know, I could see Lando being up there with the Ferraris, but then I see Daniel being a little bit off, and that will only go to compound the struggle. You know what I mean? Because struggle is subjective. What does struggle mean? It's a combination, isn't it, of bad luck, you know, bad decision making, mistakes, all that kind of brought together. And yeah, I think it's going to be a bit of a difficult weekend for Daniel Ricciardo, but he does love the continent of North America, so maybe he will carry over those positive vibes. It's just when he has had a good race, again, when he's had a good race early in the year, which hasn't been that often, but when he hasn't managed to carry that on. You know what I mean? But yeah, also there is talk of engine penalties. It's a good point, Quang. We don't know yet who is going to take engine penalties. Lewis might, Lando might, I've heard Ocon might. It's that part of the season where, you know what, it makes it more interesting, doesn't it? Because you're getting cars taking engine penalties, so they're starting, you've got quicker cars starting further back, which maybe opens up opportunities for, you know, your Williamses, your Alfa Romeos. I think it's still too much to ask for a Haas to get a point this year, unless there's some Mugello-esque madness going on. Yeah, I think it's, we'll have to wait and see who actually takes penalties. I feel like, from what I would have thought from Mercedes' point of view, is that you do FP1 and FP2, see where your pace is relative to the Red Bulls, and then make a decision whether to take an engine penalty or not, I guess. But yeah, we'll see. We will soon find out. But anyway, that's what I think is going to happen. But what about you lot? What do you lot think is going to happen? I asked you all last night, put a tweet out and put a community post out on YouTube, so make sure you're subscribed, because then you can see the community posts. And I asked you what your predictions are for race winner, team of the weekend, driver of the weekend, and struggle of the weekend. And you lot, 57% Max win, 55% Sam Red Bull team of the weekend, 43% Perez driver of the weekend, and 20% said Bottas struggle of the weekend. Interesting. I mean, surely Bottas can't take another engine penalty. Okay, so I think we can cross his name off of the potential engine penalty list. But yeah, 50%, only 9% of people said Lewis is going to win this race, which is it's mad considering he won last time out. I agree. I think Max is going to be in a stronger position to win at Mexico this weekend, but obviously anything can happen. 55% saying Red Bull as well, which obviously, yeah, you think Max is going to win, and then Perez is going to be on a vibe from Mexico. It's one of them, and it's like Perez has usually done pretty well at Mexico. He's usually performed pretty well, hasn't he? I don't actually know does anyone know what his history of results? I'll have a look at it, actually. 2019. So I can't remember where he finished in 2019. So in 2019, Perez finished 7th. It's pretty good, but it's the best of the rest. Again, this was in 2019. This was a year where you had like Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes were clear. So P7 was about as good as it gets for a midfield team. So that was 2019, and then 2020. Wait, what? Why's it gone to the Japanese Grand Prix? Hang on. 2018 Mexican Grand Prix. Perez finished. Where are you, Sergio? Oh, he retired. Okay, brake problem. That's not his fault, but not great. I don't know where he retired from. And then 2017, Sergio finished in 7th, behind Lance Stroll, who was in the Williams at the time. Ocon finished 5th that race, damn. And that's where Max won as well, 2017. Jeez. And then 2016, where did he finish? He finished 10th. Okay, so I wouldn't say it's an especially good record for Sergio, but not a bad record either. You know what I mean? So is what it is. And yeah, Leclerc's up there, 14%. Drive of the weekend. I think there's a lot of positive expectation for Charles at the minute. He's only going in to solidify his reputation, I think, as being one of the stronger drivers on the grid for sure. Do you want to see 2015? Fine. And then 2015, to be fair, Perez has been in the sport for so long now. Perez finished 9th in behind Max Verstappen in the Toro Rosso, Felipe, Valtteri, Daniel, Sebastian, Lewis, Nico. And then 2014, we might as well do 14 as well, just for fun. 2014, Sergio finished in... Did we have 2014 Mexican Grand Prix? Because it didn't come up. Hang on. No, not 15, 14, you twat. Yeah, we did. It's just the... Wikipedia. Oh no, we didn't. No race in 2014. Fair enough. But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, Checo. Nothing would make me happier this weekend than a Checo win. That would be vibes. That would be very vibes. Yeah, since 2015. Yeah, fair. Yeah, that would be so good. That would be so good. So good to see a Checo win. I would absolutely love that. And then, yeah, struggle. You said Bottas and Hamilton. They were the top 2 votes. So there's not much faith in Mercedes this weekend, which... I mean, again, when I did my Final 6 video, I said that Max would win the next 3 races. So the USA he did win. He'll win here and he'll win at Brazil. But then Lewis will win the last 3. So... we'll see. But yeah, I mean, there is no way. There is absolutely... it's just... I would be so... if it comes down to Perez P1, Verstappen P2, and Red Bull are obviously going to ask Sergio to give Max the position, but... no. I don't think you should do it. And I don't think Max would... I don't know. I feel like Max wouldn't want him to. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. What do you think? Did you think Max would want Sergio to give him the position to win? In terms of like... because yes, you've got more points, but like... the podium, everyone will be booing. Like I don't think he'd want it, and it would just leave a little bit, leave a bitter taste in the mind. You look at how with Barrichello and Schumacher, yeah, most of you agree. Like Barrichello, Schumacher, that was just at Austria, you know what I mean? And imagine like Sergio's home Grand Prix and he lets Max pass to the win. No, I'm sorry, I don't think that's gonna. And if it does, I would be absolutely shocked. Not in Mexico. I think anywhere else, and I think yes, and I don't think you could really begrudge anyone. I'd understand it, I'd respect it, but I don't think Max is. Nah, I feel like that would just kind of sour it a bit. So I don't think Max would want it, but we'll see. I mean, if he wants to be super selfish and clever, then of course he'd go for it. Because yeah, you're right. 7 points is a lot to give up, Angerad, but it's sport. It's not always a cut and dry thing. It's a human thing, and you know, fair play and honesty and integrity and how things are perceived, you know, is important. I think if Max was to go on to win the title and he refused to he refused to take the position from Sergio, say that happened, I think it would be held in a lot more esteem, a lot more high esteem, you know what, long term. But you're right, James, it does also matter where Lewis is as well. Because again, there's so many, and look, we could get Ferrari turning up this weekend and really putting a bit of a problem in there for the Red Bull and Mercedes boys, because I reckon they'll be quick. But anyway, right, those are your predictions. Let's do a little rundown now of all the drivers. Thank you, and again, happy Diwali to everyone who is here and everyone who is celebrating Diwali today. Starting with the Mercedes boys, Lewis and Valtteri. Again, people don't seem to have much confidence, but I mean, I get it. I feel like this has been a Red Bull stronghold, typically, a Max Verstappen specifically stronghold, and I don't know. I feel like obviously there's going to be Checo fans, who are more likely to be Max fans as well in the stadium. Everything's pushing towards Red Bull, but Mercedes being an underdog in in this instance hasn't been a thing for a long time now, apart from maybe like beginning of 2017 and like beginning of 2018 when Seb was looking pretty sharp. But yeah, I feel like maybe this is, I don't know, I would not be surprised. As much as I think Max is going to win, I would not be surprised if Lewis pulls out a worldie, because I just feel like when the chips are down, which they haven't been often, but when they have been in Lewis's career, he's found a way. And let's just say I wouldn't be surprised. A Mercedes underdog win, which you don't hear every day. The Red Bull, obviously we talked about them already. Thank you, Ewan, for the 21 ZAR, mate. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Yeah, just hope Perez wins, ultimately. I'm going to be full Sergio Perez this weekend. No doubt. Charles and Carlos, again, I think they're going to be really strong. The Ferrari package looks really good. I think they're going to start to... I think we'll leave Mexico with Ferrari in P3 in the Constructors. They're, 3.5 points behind now. I would be surprised if Ferrari don't take the collective dub against McLaren this weekend. And you know what? I'm feeling good about Carlos. I'm feeling good about both of them, but I think Carlos, this will be a good race for him. Lando Daniel. Lando's kind of lost a little bit of that momentum he had, hasn't he? He had really good momentum early on in the year. He had a couple of races. Well, it was kind of after the Valtteri Bottas bowling ball at Hungary. And Lando didn't seem to be able to get back into that same... But I think that also coincided with the Ferrari upgrades as well. And obviously Russia was a big hit because that could and maybe should have been a win. And but as well, like when you look over the whole season, he has still been one of the best drivers all year, and like his consistency. I would say in terms of actual performance, I'd say Kota was his weakest performance of the year. You know, Russia, it's one of them where it was a bad strategy call. However much blame you want to put on the team or on him, it was a strategy call, from a collective strategy call that ruined the race for them. In terms of actual driving, Lando was very good all weekend at Russia. But yeah, maybe Ricciardo has improved, but then, you know, he had a good weekend at Monza and then he had some shockers up. Like it's once in a blue moon. It's not consistent enough. I still feel like Lando will finish this race ahead of Daniel. It's a minor blip, but maybe I think as well from Lando's point of view, this probably maybe takes a little bit of, because when he was just banging in these, you know, podiums and P4s consistently, I think it put a lot of pressure on him. But also you've got Perez has improved over the course of the year. You've got Bottas, who it's very difficult because it's just frustratingly inconsistent. He'll have a great race at Monza and then he'll have an absolute shocker. It's just like, I don't know. And then obviously, yeah, Daniel is slowly getting used to the car as well. Lando's weakest was the Netherlands. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't great at Zandvoort either. But yeah, I think Kota was up there as well. But yeah, again, they're two fairly recent races. Danny Rick reached his peak. No chance. We know we're again. Daniel Ricciardo took a while to get used to that Renault when he first joined back in 2019. I can't even remember now. Yeah, 2019. And last year he was unreal. It's easy to forget. Well, where did Daniel Ricciardo finish in the Drivers' Championship last year? Come on. Finished 5th, 6 points behind Sergio in the Renault. His teammate Ocon finished 12th. Ocon did have a good last few races, but Daniel Ricciardo was so consistent throughout that course of the year. And you look at where the Alpine is now. Like, that is the same. We talk about cars that have really struggled, like the Aston Martin and the Mercedes have really been hit by the new engine changes. No one's mentioning Alpine in that, yet their performance has dropped off a cliff because Ocon he had a good start to the season, but he hasn't been consistent enough throughout the year. And Alonso has come in, wasn't great at the start of the year, has been super consistent, but neither of them are performing at the levels that Daniel was last year in that car. I don't believe so. I think if Daniel had stayed at now Alpine, I think they'd be significantly higher in the constructors, if you ask me. Because Ocon, especially Alonso, is doing a very good job, but Daniel was doing an exceptional job last year. Checo is 11 to 1 to win. It's not bad odds. Find a fiver down the back of the sofa, you might make 55 quid off that. Okay, Vettel, Stroll, Aston Martin. I don't really know how to rate. I mean, the Force India was good here last time out. Obviously, Checo finished wherever he finished, 5th, whatever it was. I don't really know. Like, the Aston and the Alpine are just so hit and miss. They've got two drivers. There's 4 drivers there who are, I would say, of those 4 drivers between the Aston and the Alpine drivers, Alonso's driving at the highest level, then probably Vettel, then probably probably Ocon slightly high. I don't know. No, maybe Stroll slightly higher than Ocon. I don't know. It's difficult. Like, they're pretty much. But in terms of the overall performance, I'd say the Alpine pair are operating at a slightly higher level than the Aston Martin pair overall. But at the same time, I don't know. I'm not sure like how this track's going to suit They seem pretty close, the Racing Point and the Renault last year. Sorry, in 2019 here. Hard to judge ultimately, but yeah, I've still been like mad impressed with Fernando this year. Massively exceeded my expectations. Ocon started really well and has been disappointing. I think this kind of second half of the season. We know he had the chassis issues, sorted them out, got some all right position. I mean, he's got in the points fairly consistently, but Alpine have got the thing is with Alpine that their highs, apart from Ocon's win, their highs haven't been super high, but Alonso's just always getting in the points, and Ocon's getting in the points quite a lot as well over the course of the year. If we count Vettel's P2, would that change your stance? No, I think Alonso's been a more kind of over the course of this year. Alonso hasn't had. Yeah, I still think overall Alonso's been slightly better than Vettel this year, because Seb's highs have been much higher than Stroll's, but he's also had a few shockers as well. So, and yeah, Stroll's got in the points loads of time. I mean, what let me double check actually. What is it again? So, right. So this year, let's check. So Alonso has got in the points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times this year in 17 races. I think that's pretty good. Ocon's been in the points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. So the same. So Ocon's been in the points the same amount of times as Alonso. It's just Alonso's point scoring finishes have been much better because obviously Ocon is getting the win tax, the 25 points from the win, which bumps his up by, over half of Esteban's points this year came from that win. Whereas Alonso's just been, you got 3 P6s, Alonso, and a P4 in Hungary. That's mad. And then Seb's been in the points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, 6 if you count Hungary, which we should count Hungary, really. So 6 times he's been in the points. And then Lance has been in the points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. So I mean, if Seb was in the point, I mean, Seb's been in the points half the amount of times that Fernando has, technically speaking, if we're counting the disqualification. Ocon has been the best driver this year. Good joke, Manuel. But yeah, overall it's very close between them. They're the two teams, because I think AlphaTauri, I think their car is clear. I think Gasly's done enough this year to showcase what that car can do. Tsunoda had a good weekend last weekend, but at the same time, I just really want Yuki to have another good weekend. He needed that at Kota, and he put in a really good performance. Still would have been behind Gasly, I think, if Gasly didn't have the problems that he did. But not to take away from Yuki. Good result. Finished, P9 in the end, didn't he? Because Yuki's been in the points how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times this year. So that's actually mad. Yuki's been in the points more times this year than Seb has. The same if we're counting Hungary, which we should. So he's been in the points the same amount of times as Seb this year. But obviously the quality of points has been much higher for Seb. That is actually mad. That is mad. But yeah. Hopefully a good weekend for Yuki Tsunoda. Fingers crossed. And I think Gasly's quality. I think as long as Gasly doesn't have a shunt at some point, then because Gasly's kind of he had really good luck. The last 4 races, he's only been in the points once at Turkey. Gasly P6. He had a retirement at Italy, P13 Russia, and retirement USA. So. Albon was coach. I heard something about that actually. Albon coaching Yuki at Kota. I don't really know the details, so Worth reading into, though, I'm sure. And yeah, Gasly loves the top 6 in qualifying, so maybe. But I'm just not sure. I don't know how much that... I don't know enough about the architecture of the Alpha Tauri car to say whether I think it will be good at Mexico or not, you know? I agree, Mr. EC Football. I definitely think Aston's one-lap pace has definitely made them struggle. I feel like... Because in qualifying, it is pretty close between Seb and Lance. I think if that car was quicker over a lap, I think Vettel would be a lot higher in the driver's standings. But because he's struggling in qualifying, and whether that's him, whether that's the car, it's always difficult to say for sure what the balance is. But when he is able to break through and run towards the sharp end of the grid, he's always in a pretty good position. But when he's not, then he's miles off. You know what I mean? Alfa Romeo. Right, I'm going to collate how many times either Kimi or Antonio have been 11th this season, right? So Kimi has been 11th 1, 2, 3 times. And Antonio has been 11th 1, 2, 3 times. And Antonio only has 1 point all season. P12, Kimi's been P12 1, 2 times, and Antonio's been 12 1, 2 times. And P13, Kimi's been P13 1, 2 times, and Antonio's been P13 1, 2, 3, 4 times. It's like they're always almost there, but not actually there. Antonio's got 1 point all season. All it takes is like a mad race, and Mick Schumacher gets a P9, and he's ahead of Antonio Giovinazzi in the Drivers' Championship. Isn't that mad? Isn't that actually mad? That is so mad. Like, I feel like Alpha they're always almost there, but not quite there. And it sounds like the Andretti deal has fallen through as well. Although there was talk, obviously I know there's a lot of talk at the minute about Porsche and Audi potentially joining Formula One. Maybe a buyout deal for Sauber, maybe. Which would be interesting. For sure, I'd feel more excited about a Porsche or an Audi in Formula One than an Alfa Romeo. Sorry, not gonna lie. But yeah, I still don't think Antonio is showing enough. I think Kimi's showing more in race than Antonio, and that just isn't good enough. You know what I mean? Yeah, I know he led that lap last year. That was actually pretty decent. George and Nicholas. Yes, it's been a bit of a wobble the last couple of races. George was 15th, Nicholas 17th in Turkey, and then George 14th, Nicholas 15th in USA. Look, I mean, it's essentially just fallen back to previous, and it would take, to be honest, for Williams, I think they're safe in P8. They're not going to catch Aston Martin. They're not going to catch P7, and it's going to take a lot for Alfa Romeo to catch Williams now. Because Williams have got 23 points, Alfa have got 7. So, you know what I mean? It's a 16-point difference. That's pretty significant for the bottom two, the second bottom and the third bottom teams. I know from a driver's point of view, but ultimately the team doesn't really care about the Drivers' Championship. Unless you're Red Bull or Mercedes, of course, because they want the 8 World Championships for Hamilton, and the first for Max. So, yeah, obviously those teams are a bit more invested because they want to be attached to those moments. Like the first driver to beat Lewis Hamilton in however many years, and the first person to get 8 world titles in Lewis Hamilton. But yeah, I think Williams can just chill now, really, and George might pull out an occasional worldie, but ultimately you know, all focus on next year for sure. And then Haas. I actually I drove past the Haas factory earlier this week, which was interesting. It's not actually as much of a, like, I just assumed it would be like a little, you know, like in an industrial park with just, you know, a little factory. It actually has, like, you can see the reception, you can see big prints of Mick and Nikita, shiny logo, all that on the outside. I'm just saying focus because of Albon, but obviously Lucy, come on, I'm biased, remember. But yeah, I mean, Haas, not much to say really, is there? I mean, P16 in the USA for Mick, but obviously that they have to rely on DNFs ahead of them to get any kind of result, because their performance is so far off everyone else. So far off. Well, no, so Haas have a UK base and they have a US one. But the UK factory is pretty significant. Like, it's got a full-on reception and all that. So, but yeah. There we go, everyone. I think we're about done, aren't we? Talked about everyone. And yeah. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Happy Diwali to everyone who is celebrating Diwali today. And yeah, hopefully it's a banger. Unfortunately, no qualifying stream this weekend again. I know I've been well off it, but you know, personal. No, I'm going up to Scotland this weekend, so I might actually miss the race as well. So I'm going to have to stay off Twitter and avoid spoilers. But yeah, thank you everyone for coming. I appreciate you all taking the time. Thank you to everyone who was generously donoed in the super chat as well. West Ham top 4, you know, it makes sense. But yeah, cheers everyone. Sorry everyone who's just turned up as well. I will be, this video will exist as a VOD afterwards, a video on demand, so you can watch it whenever you like. But yeah, up to Edinburgh in Scotland. If you haven't been to Edinburgh before, trust me, go. It's a beautiful place. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, cheers everyone for coming. Enjoy the race, enjoy the Grand Prix, and yeah. And I will get an Albon Williams cap as soon as that merch drops, don't you worry. Unless the cap's dead. I'll get some piece of merchandise, no drama. But yeah, cheers everyone for coming. Stay hydrated. Get a big bottle like this one. Look how big this is. That's my head. Bloody massive. All right, I'm actually off now.